Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Jonaz Podcast. I am extremely excited about today, and we have the great pleasure of having an absolute legend, Mr. Ori Spado, who's going to be coming to us today and going to be speaking about his book called The Accidental Gangster, and also just speaking about his life and what a wild life it has been. And this man is an absolute legend. I feel truly blessed to have you here today and to be able to just ask you some questions about your journey, to hear about the many things that you were involved in. I know that in many senses you were an extremely amazing businessman, and then at the same time you did have affiliations and relationships with some of the most legendary people that have ever graced the earth. So today we're going to get an opportunity to dive in, talk about your journey, your story, and also to share with individuals why maybe some of the decisions that you made in the past might have not been the best, and then also why some of the decisions that you did make can give people a lot of advice and help guide them on their journey. So thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you making the drive from Beverly Hills.
Thank you, Joe. My pleasure.
Yeah. So we're going to get started today. We're going to go from the beginning. We're going to go through your story, talk about a lot of the stuff that you worked on. And so I know you were born in Rome, New York, correct? And when you were in Rome, New York, I would love to hear a little bit about, I think, your family dynamic, because I think it's important to understand how you grew up, the people that raised you, because I think it can give us a little bit of information into why you ended up maybe going down the roads that you did. So if you would love to give us some background on your family and where you grew up, I think it'd be really important.
Well, I grew up in a small town, Rome, New York. Back in those days, the population was 40-something thousand people. We lived close to downtown in a duplex home. I had 2 brothers, 3 sisters, and then next door was my grandparents, my aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
And my mother, and then we had our shed hooked up, was connected, but we made a door, and my mother cooked dinner for everybody. So there'd be like 13 people for dinner.
Yeah.
My father only made like $35 a week.
Yeah.
But, I had a great childhood.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. It was my childhood. I learned a lot. I had great parents and brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles. We were a big family, both sides of the family.
Yeah.
And but I was just different than the rest of the family.
Yeah.
And I did my own thing. I skipped school a lot, and I said earlier, I've always been for the underdog. I still am.
Yeah.
And it will never change. And, I could talk for days on my childhood, but, at the age of, I began delivering newspapers at the age of 12.
Yeah.
Then I worked in a grocery store, packing groceries for customers, carrying them out to their car. Then I joined the Army.
Yeah. So, your story reminds me of actually my mom's story. My mom grew up with 8 brothers and sisters, and same thing, her dad never really made much money at all. And so they would always have friends over, they would always have people over, and it was always just such a welcome environment where they would cook for everybody around, and all the kids knew that they could come over and hang out even though they didn't have much. So would you say that your influence of your family, where everybody was welcoming and they always let people in, do you think that had a huge influence on you as you grew up?
Well, definitely. Everybody's childhood has an influence of what they become. My parents wanted better for everybody else, but we couldn't afford college. I want to tell a story about one of the greatest things that I learned from my father. We had a big garden. And my father told me I had to spade the garden. And that's hard work.
Yeah.
And I robbed 50 cents, and I hired this big, strong kid I went to school with, Lauren Trombley. He came over, 50 cents, he did it. My father comes home from work. I'm in the backyard. My sister happened to be there. I said, well, you did a good job. He said, I didn't think you'd finish. I said, yeah, Dad, I did what you said. And my sister says, he didn't do it. He hired Lauren Trombley. And my father gave her a spanking. And he says, you never snitch on anybody.
Yeah.
And then he says, you got to respade the garden. He made me respade it. But, the fact of spanking my sister for snitching on me,
Yeah.
and to this day, I do not like rats.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. Having trust is an extremely part of life and extremely important part of life. I mean, that's the basis for my entire job, right? People call me and they put trust in me to hold space and to make sure that I'm keeping their confidentiality. So I understand the importance of never, I mean, for lack of a better term, snitching, but just also not breaking that confidentiality. So
Yeah.
I get that. It's the basis of all relationships. And if people can't trust you, how are they going to do work with you? How are they going to have a relationship with you?
Well, we live in a country today, Joe, that the three most important factors of life people don't follow no more.
What do you consider
It's
those?
loyalty, honor, and respect.
Loyalty.
There's no respect in this world today. And who do I blame? I blame the parents.
Yeah. Yeah. So were your parents very strict with you, or did they give you freedom to make your own choices?
They were strict. I mean, I was the one who was always in trouble.
I understand.
Okay? I mean, I was the one always in fights. I was the one stealing things.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, I was doing every bad thing you could think about.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm the one I painted their front porch 1,000 times, I think. I mean, it was, those, and, I remember when I couldn't, I was not allowed to leave the boundaries of our house.
Yeah.
But I still managed. Then I would I loved the girls even when I was young. I began very young. And we had a little shed in the back. And
You had a good time. When it came to like even being in trouble at a young age, did you just always find like ways to, I guess, work the system or just ways to beat the system? Like, why do you think that even at a young age you were always getting into trouble? Or was it maybe the kids that you were hanging out with?
No, I never blamed the kids. My mother will always blame the kids. It was never the kids, it was me. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess why do you think that you ended up making those decisions versus just doing, I guess, the stuff that wouldn't get you in trouble? More fun?
More fun.
Yeah.
I got in a lot of fights because I took care of a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Somebody bullied you, I fight the person that was bullying you.
Got it.
I was against bullies then.
Yeah. So you were
But
defending.
then again, we lived right across the street from a Catholic school.
Yeah.
Okay? And I could remember that before I went to school, I would sit in my front window.
Yeah.
And I would wait. There were a few guys, young kids I knew, their parents gave them 35 cents for lunch.
Yeah.
And I would go steal their lunch money.
Yeah. Yeah. And so at a very young age, I know that you ended up joining the military, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
18 years old.
18 years old. And why did you decide to join at such a young age? Like, what was the reasoning behind that? It sounds like you've brought up that you love to defend people's honor. You like to fight for the people that need defending. So was that a big factor that led into you going into the military?
Well, if you looked at my high school yearbook, it says to be a Marine. I always wanted to be a Marine
Yeah.
because they are the fighters.
Yeah.
But there were 4 of us who hung around together, went to pool room, and 3 of them joined the Army. And one of them was 17, Fred Farringer. So his parents had a sign for him. And we were playing pool, and they said, Spado, you should join. Come with us. We'll all go together. We'll all go to Germany and this and that. I said, nah, I'm not going. But Fred asked me if I would skip school the next day because he had to bring the papers his parents signed to Utica to the recruiters.
Yeah.
So I said, yes. So I skipped school. We went to Utica. I'm sitting in the recruiter's office. And he looked at me. He says, why don't you go? He said, I can make sure you can get up with your friends. And I looked at him. The snow's coming out like I can't believe. I hate the snow. I hate the winters.
I'm not a big fan of
New York
snow.
was cold. I said, if you can guarantee me computer training, IBM training. It
Yeah.
wasn't all this words we got today.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's when, computers were as big as this building.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, I guarantee that. I said, you got to guarantee me that, I got to go down south to take, I don't want to go to Fort Dix.
Yeah.
Guarantee it. I signed the papers. He said, but I got to drive you to Albany tomorrow, so you got to take the test. I said, all right. Now everybody go in and go take the test. Like most of them went to Syracuse, all my friends.
Yeah.
And then, after they took the test, they all went out, had a good time. I was looking to go out in Albany and have a good time, pick up a few girls.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case. They took us right after I passed the test. They put us on an airplane to Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
And we're in a mess hall. They're
Yeah.
throwing papers at us. We got to sign this, sign that. One paper comes across and says, are you interested in airborne? Yes or no? Well, I'm interested in a lot of things. Yeah. Next thing you know, I'm on another plane to Fort Gordon, Georgia
Yeah.
for airborne basic training.
Man.
But, the Army is probably one of the best things. And especially, I regret that our country no longer has the draft. I believe that if we had the draft, we'd have less crime in this country.
Yeah.
We would have more young men with the three things that I mentioned: loyalty, honor, and respect. Because you learn that in the Army.
Yeah.
You learn camaraderie. And, and I was blessed. I ended up stationed with the 25th Infantry Division in Hawaii.
Did you end up
I had a
stationed?
great time, a lot of girls.
Did you end up getting stationed with your friends that you signed up with?
No, they ended up going to Germany.
They ended up going to Germany.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
So
I ended up going to Hawaii.
Yeah. Okay.
But, and I had an apartment in Waikiki. It was $150 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I made $74.50 a month.
Gotcha.
And when I walked through Waikiki in those days, everybody knew me.
Yeah. And so when you moved to Hawaii, did you end up starting to figure out ways to make extra cash so you could still live the lifestyle
I
you
did a
wanted?
lot of things in Waikiki.
Yeah.
Well, how do you think if I'm only making $74.50 and my rent's $150?
Yeah.
Plus utilities.
Yeah.
I had to be doing some things.
Got it. Okay. And so when it came to
I'm
work,
quite creative.
yeah, I know, and that's been a big part of listening to the book. There were just I felt like there were so many opportunities and there were so many things where you're so smart, you know how to hustle probably harder than 99% of people on the planet. And so, my main question is just why didn't you find ways to do things, I guess for lack of a better term, legitimately, that wouldn't get you in trouble with the law when it maybe would have taken, let's say, 25, 30% more work, but it wouldn't have gotten you in trouble? Why didn't you choose to go that route? Was it just because it was more exciting doing the other stuff, or?
No, 1971, 72, 60, no, in the 60s, I created the Ori Agency.
Mm-hmm.
Credit, life, and accident health on a financing and loan for car dealerships.
So you were financing loans for car dealerships?
No. When they financed the car,
Okay.
all right, they would add on credit, life, and accident health.
Okay.
And they could make a lot of money just with that little portion.
Does that mean like property and casualty?
No.
Okay.
No. If you died, the car would be paid off. You become sick or disabled, you didn't have to make the monthly payments.
Okay.
But now, when I got involved in it and I began, the more cars the dealers sell,
Okay.
the more they finance, the more I made.
Okay.
So I created a program to teach the salesmen how to take a person who wanted to pay cash or go to their credit union or go elsewhere, why they should finance with a dealer. So I increased their finance penetration.
Okay.
And then I was the pioneer that when you go into an automobile dealership today, the salesman is not really a salesman. He demos the car to you, brings you back. He says, meet my general manager, my finance manager, my business manager. They got all sorts of names. And those are the ones who will sell you, finance the car, And they say, oh, it's only $2 a month for this, $5 a month. You need the polyglycol, it's only $5 a month. You need the rust proofing, you need the fabric sealant, you need the car alarm.
Yeah.
And it goes on and on and on.
Okay.
So I used to teach a dealer back in those days how to sell a car at cost and still make $2,000.
Got it.
I had over 250 dealers in the state of New York.
Okay.
And so, yes, I was the pioneer, one of the first people to ever create. I had a school in Rome, New York. I bought an old schoolhouse.
Yeah.
And, I brought people in from all over and trained them.
So were you essentially training salesmen to be better salesmen or to basically create upsales
Yeah.
on every single deal?
Definitely.
And so as these upsales would accumulate, essentially the credit lines for the dealerships and for the banks would get higher, and so you guys would essentially make a higher commission.
Right.
Okay, and so why do you think that you were able to train these individuals to make better sales than everyone else? Did you have a book that you read where you just learned how to sell, or do you just have a better intuition than most and you were able to train that to other individuals?
I'm a strategist and I'm a thinker. I could see a problem and I could figure out how to fix it. And I solved the problem. I'll solve the problem. That's how all this here led to how I became a Hollywood fixer.
Yeah.
Because I could solve problems without a gun, without 100 guys around me.
Yeah.
But you would think I got 100 guys behind me when you talk to me.
Yeah.
Okay? So, I know how to utilize or work things
Yeah.
that work to my advantage.
I understand
But,
that.
making money, I've been making money since I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
I've been hustling.
Yeah.
And I've been involved in major deals. And for some reason, on the major deals, I come this close.
Yeah.
George Gallo, who's writing and directing the movie on me, was over the house. And I said, when I was doing I did all the entertainment for the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest exhibits was going to be Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah.
And I studied Napoleon like he was my buddy. I mean, I knew everything about him. Now there's a movie coming out with Ridley Scott did.
Yeah.
And I went to the island of Elba because I knew the Queen Mary, their budget was only $500,000 they could spend.
Yeah.
So I went to the island of Elba where Napoleon had.
Where he was exiled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what he did, how after he was exiled, how he left there, went through the Alps,
Yeah.
all right, on foot, crossed it, okay, and everybody started following him.
Yeah.
And then the king sent all the soldiers there, and he met him, and he says, I am your emperor. And they all got behind him.
Yeah.
And he went back in.
Yeah.
And he was a powerful man at 5'6".
Yeah.
But then I got so much immersed into him that I went to France, to the Invalade there, and I had artifacts from France, from Russia, from all over. It became a $3 million exhibit.
At what age did you do this?
Let me finish the story, then we'll figure out my age. Okay? So now I end up selling it to the riverfront, my friends in Philadelphia got me there, to Riverfront Development Center
Okay.
in Wilmington, Delaware. They had just done the Nicholas and Alexander exhibit.
Uh-huh.
Made a lot of money, and they loved this. I mean, the way we were going to do it, when you go to an exhibit and you see a little 15-minute clip of what you're going to see, who this person is, and then you got the doors open up. I had guys, they were from Orange County. They were really good.
Yeah.
And it was going to look like Napoleon was on his white horse and taking you through the exhibit. Because Napoleon always led his troops in the battle. And so it was $3 million. I was going to get 10%, and they were going to send me a check for 10% of the $300,000.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I go to bed. And then a friend of mine calls me up at 6 a.m. in the morning. Put your TV on. I put the TV on, and those planes were going through the Trade Center in New York, and that killed everything. I got a booklet of all the artifacts we were going to have.
Yeah.
It was really amazing. I still have that. But those are the type of things that happen to me.
Yeah.
I get that close,
Yeah.
and boom.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's just part of the story, right? It's just that God wanted to keep pushing you so that you keep going for bigger and bigger things. If it was ever too easy, maybe you would have never gotten the opportunity to meet the people
But
you
you know
met.
what? I have a way. Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Don't let it go. You just got to keep moving.
Yeah, but it's also amazing that you've been able to keep it going this whole time, because a lot of people will get crushed after one lost opportunity.
Yeah. You know, I learned it as a paper boy, and my father was one of the individuals that helped me. The more doors I knocked on, the more no's I got from people who didn't want to subscribe.
Yeah,
All right, were the people that I got to subscribe.
yeah,
And there was insurance sales.
yeah, yeah. All the mistakes in life teach you the greatest lessons.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a lot of mistakes, you're probably not going to know shit. So it's important to go through the tough
You
stuff.
know, if you're a salesman and you think everybody's going to say yes, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
Okay? The more no's you get, you're closer to a yes.
Yes.
And, you got to, I never had a fear of knocking on somebody's door.
Yeah.
And, to this day,
Yeah. I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you never take.
yeah.
Yeah, it's extremely important. You have to keep shooting, no matter what happens. And all the greatest lessons come from the biggest mistakes you ever make. So I understand that. And that's always been a common question that I like to ask people, is not what is the greatest success you've ever had, but what is the biggest mistake you've ever made, and what did it teach you? So I guess we're on that topic now. Can I ask you that question?
I learned from all my mistakes.
Yeah.
People ask me, say, you're going to be 79. You look like you're 60. And you walk every day, and you're agile, and this and that. You know what my answer is to them? You got to go and do time in prison. You live longer.
Yeah. You learn to protect yourself and take care of yourself. You have to. When you were in prison, what do you think were the three most important things that you learned, and the three most important things that protected you?
Well, I was around Sonny Franchesse in New York and Jimmy Cacci, the underboss here.
Yeah.
They were both skippers, both captains.
Yeah.
And, they had, when you're with them in a day, you hear story after story after story. I could remember, I used to say, oh, shit, I hope I don't get like them when I'm older. But,
Yeah.
they would tell me all the stories. They both did time in prison.
Yeah.
So I heard all that prison. So I knew what prison was like.
Yeah.
And I knew eventually it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would get arrested the way I did.
Yeah.
Okay? But I knew the day had to come. I mean, eventually, And it did.
Yeah.
So it's a mindset like anything else.
Yeah.
It's a mindset.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm in prison.
Yeah.
Okay? My first day, they brought me down in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
All right? They bring me into the unit. And there were several other guys. One guy comes up to me, you white? Yeah, come with me. And I was with the whites. They fed me. They made my bunk. They knew who I was. Next day, they introduced me to the shot callers of the blacks, the Spanish, and every other group.
Mm-hmm.
And I was well respected
Yeah.
because I was not a rat.
Yeah.
And they extradited me to New York, and the same thing there. And honestly, I was in a unit with some of the bosses. I'm not going to mention their names.
Mm.
One's still a boss today.
Yeah.
And, we ate just like you saw in the movie Goodfellas.
Yeah.
We ate like that there. I'll tell you, Thanksgiving and Christmas, I mean, the guys with big pies, you couldn't buy them on the outside that good. So,
You weren't directly affiliated in the Mafia. You weren't a direct member, right?
No.
Yeah, and you mentioned in your book a couple times that you were offered to be made a made man. I don't really understand what it means to be a made man. And my question for you is, if you were so affiliated with them and you had so many relationships, why didn't you become a made man? And what are the benefits of being made a made man?
Well, in today's world, there is no benefit. The only benefit today is you go higher on the FBI's radar.
Okay.
Okay. Back in the days, it meant a lot to get that button.
Yeah.
Okay. It meant a lot. And I'm going back to 60s and 70s and before that there.
Yeah.
Okay. It was something. It was very special. But one thing, in the oath, when you take that oath, you got a wife and kids at home.
Yeah.
That family becomes secondary.
Yeah.
That's not your first family no longer. And when you become, they put you under a captain. You might be much smarter enough. You don't want to take orders. If he calls you at 3 a.m. in the morning and says, you got to go do a piece of work, you got to do it.
Okay.
Okay? And, you know, I at that point, when you become me, you don't get to talk directly to the boss. Sometimes you do, but not normal. You got to go through
You got to go through the hierarchy.
the hierarchy. When here it is, I knew all these guys, and I had them all, I had everybody's phone number. I can call them directly.
Yeah.
And I never felt nor wanted to be, and I never took it. The closest I came was here in California. It was on a Sunday. There was me and a couple of guys came in from Vegas. They were going to make the three of us.
Yeah.
I'm not, and Jimmy Kashi's on there, and he's the guy who's going to make us. So we're going to go to Pete's house. And I said, Jimmy, I don't really want to do it. Nah, you got to be. He said, look it, I was feared as though I was made. People didn't know if I was.
Yeah.
A lot of times Jimmy and Sonny would introduce me as though I was
Yeah.
to other people.
Yeah.
And I knew the rules. I know the political aspects of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I knew what to do and what not to do, and I lived that way, and that's why at the age, will be 79 next month, that's why I'm able to sit here with you today. Even to this day, I got a book,
Yeah.
but I don't talk about nobody.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't say nothing bad about anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. You're only sharing the information that was already made public.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand. I get it. Yeah. I had a client who was federally indicted and went through RICO also. And for, like you said, when you have a life the way that you've had your life, it's not a matter of if they're going to come. It's just a matter of when they're going to come.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes is, have you made decisions that you're going to be able to protect yourself? Have you made decisions where you're not going to have to share information? And can you still protect yourself enough that you'll be able to get out at some point in your life? Because they're always watching.
Yeah. I'm good now. I feel very confident I'm good now.
Yeah.
But, you know, I did one of the biggest no-nos, you know. I was taping the FBI. They were trying to get me to go work for Team America. I refused. I was taping them. I had 12 tapes on them.
Yeah.
And one rat found the tape,
Yeah.
and the FBI had him put them up. It's still there.
Yeah.
Got to be there 20 years now
Yeah.
on the computer.
Yeah.
Okay? And
Yeah.
you got a big thing, Ori Spado rat.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You know, and you read my, did you get my book? I didn't bring a book with me.
I already listened to the whole entire thing. I
Oh,
listened.
you
I listened to
got the
audiobook.
audiobook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm an audiobook person.
All right. I done something very different than most people. At the end of my book, there are letters to people who are alive and people who are dead.
Yeah.
Okay, letter to my ex-wife.
Yeah.
Did you hear them letters?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then at the end of the book, I got my paperwork.
Yeah.
I got my indictment, my plea.
Yeah.
I got motions. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm very transparent.
Yeah. You
If
lay.
somebody
you lay
want
it
to
out.
call me a rat, they go, hey, I saw you don't have $29 to buy my book.
Yeah.
You would know.
Yeah. Everything is there. The
Yeah,
whole story
so
is there.
It's there.
Yeah, it's there. You're talking about your family. I have a question for you. Did your kids and did your first wife Tony and I believe Rosemary did know this life that you were involved in, but how much did they know?
My first wife knew nothing. Rosemary knew nothing.
Okay.
Well, maybe Rosemary suspected because, we lived in Little Neck, and she'd be with me sometimes when me and Sonny would go out, so she was there. So, but I gotta say she really didn't know,
Yeah.
but she knew.
Yeah, and you were probably wise to not tell them
Yeah.
so that they had plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Because if they then got picked up and they had questions for them, it's better that they actually knew nothing.
And then, I moved to San Francisco,
Yeah,
and she was born and brought up there,
yeah,
and I became better known there than her. She
Yeah.
made her very jealous,
yeah. Yeah, and I think you made the right choice also of ending things when you did with her to protect her. I have a lot of respect for that because I understand that at some point, the relationship comes to an end. And I also respect that you guys stayed friends afterwards and were able to keep in touch.
Yeah, we did. We stayed friends until, I was able to call her. She married this guy because of me,
Yeah, I remember.
and he was a nice guy. But one day he was a lawyer, like you.
Yeah,
And one day I call up, he answers the phone, I'll get Rosemary. He was really, Rosemary gets on. I said, it was so nice. What happened?
yeah,
She said, well, he came home from work and he did something, and I told him that's not the way Ori would do it.
yeah.
And I said, Rosemary, that guy is your husband. You
Yeah.
never say that.
Never say that. I remember I laughed out loud when I listened to that part.
I said, we cannot talk anymore.
Yeah,
And we haven't talked since then.
yeah,
But she knew I went to prison,
yeah,
and she knew when I got out.
yeah, yeah. She sounds like a very sweet lady. It sounds like you guys had an amazing relationship. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in all the places that you've lived, you've lived in multiple places in California, Florida, and New York. Where's been your favorite place to live? I know you're saying you really enjoy Beverly Hills, where you're at now.
I love California.
Yeah,
And, I've always loved Beverly Hills. Or, I lived there. I lived on the Wilshire Quarter for many years, too. That's my area in Southern California. When I lived in San Francisco, it was an awesome, awesome place.
yeah,
Beautiful city. And everybody tells me I wouldn't recognize it today.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Very different. So when you came out to California in the very first few times, you got involved with Hollywood. And when you got involved with Hollywood, I know that you started getting a term being called the Hollywood fixer. I had a couple of questions about that time frame in general. One, I wanted to hear, what was your involvement with Hollywood? Did you help bring movies to life? I know that you knew people like Frank Sinatra. You knew people like Dean Martin. I want to hear what they were like. I would love to hear stories about them if you are willing to share any stories about them. And I just want to hear what kind of things you did to become a Hollywood fixer.
it's funny. George Gallo was over the house the other day, and he's writing my script with another writer that's a friend of his who wrote for Tom Hanks. So,
Yeah,
and he wanted to hear more stories about Hollywood because my movie is not going to be your shoot 'em up, kill 'em, put 'em in the trunk type of gangster movie.
yeah,
Okay, it's going to be about things I've done in Hollywood, and we want to keep it more in Hollywood because people love Hollywood.
yeah,
And keep it with me at a younger age.
yeah,
And told him the story. There was one of my first jobs myself had to do with somebody on a movie Dino De Laurentiis was doing. Now, we had done a lot of things for Dino De Laurentiis in the meantime. When he was filming across 110th Street, New York, with, I forget the guy's name. But people were robbing things on the set. They were filming it in Harlem. and every night things were going missing. And
They were
got a hold
stealing
of
from
Frank
the
Russo. We had to get a hold of Frank Costello,
Okay.
and overnight it was taken care of.
Yeah, Frank Russo was your attorney, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was an attorney. His father used to be the boss, and my grandfather used to be under him.
Okay.
All right, so my grandfather came from Italy as a made man.
Gotcha. Can I ask you a question just so people can understand the hierarchy? So was it soldiers and then made men, then captain, then boss? Is that how it
Yeah.
worked? Okay. Got it. So that people can understand who reported to who.
Well, you got the boss, you got the underboss, and then you got the consigliere, and then you got the captains.
Got it.
Those
And
are, anybody under the boss is a captain.
got it. And a consigliere would be an attorney like
Yeah.
me, correct? Yeah.
Well, no.
No. It's not an attorney. Got
Not
it.
an
Okay.
attorney,
Okay. Sorry, because I've heard the term consigliere used for an attorney in Italian before.
You know, in the movie The Godfather, he was an attorney.
Yeah.
But, no.
Okay.
They're not an attorney.
Okay. Got it.
I never met one that was.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
In
probably
real
take
life,
one step
no.
out.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
But where was I going now? And then there was a movie being filmed in Boston, the Brinks Job,
Okay.
with Peter Falk, and boy, that was an awesome few days in Boston there.
Yeah.
And then they were filming the Valachi paper. There was an actor that was in there that had a tendency to get a little cocky sometimes and things like that there. And, it's still a problem in Hollywood. A lot of actors, they get upset with the director. They don't like to do it. And they try to direct the movie.
Yeah.
And it causes, these movies cost a lot of money to make.
Yeah.
And when they're getting delayed, the budget's increasing.
Yeah.
And, I would thought, hey, I come in and talk to you. And be nice. I showed George how I did it,
Yeah.
I would go up, put my arm, hey, man, you're a great guy. Come here. Let's have a chat. I bring him into his trailer or someplace. And say, listen, you're a great actor. I love your work. And remember something here. You're being paid to be an actor. You're not the director.
Yeah.
The director's getting paid to be a director.
Yeah.
So why are you causing these problems? No, it's costing us a lot of extra money.
Yeah.
You want to pay that? I don't think so. So why don't you just do what the director does? You do your job, and let's stop this. And they stop it.
Yeah. And did these guys already know you personally, or would you get brought in almost like as an independent contractor to deal with the problem?
Sometimes I just show up.
Yeah.
But I got that voice.
Yeah.
I got that look.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
And they know that, they see me. I'm there alone, but they can visualize. They know there's 500 guys behind me somewhere.
100%. They can feel it. Yeah. It's amazing. And who, during that time, who would be, let's say, your top 3 favorite actors or actresses or singers that you had relationships with at that time?
Oh, man. I got to say Frank and Dean.
Yeah.
Okay, but, it's like I was watching Naked Gun, 2 or 3, which one?
Yeah.
And I'm watching it the other day. I haven't watched it yet. And I said, holy shit. I used to drink with Leslie Nielsen at a club in Century City.
Yeah.
I knew Priscilla Presley, okay? And I knew O.J. Simpson. I mean, I put movies on. I said, old movies, because it was a strike. There's nothing new on it anymore. And so I'm watching a lot of old movies. I seen a lot of people. I knew Don Rickles. And, I went to Four Seasons. Robert Cohn, who owned the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills, he passed away. But he owns a home here in Newport.
Yeah.
Wayne's home.
Yeah.
And it's got the biggest slip. And I remember going to a Christmas party at his
Yeah.
home. And Milton Berle being there.
Yeah. And what were the Hollywood parties
I had
like?
a thing with, Sid Caesar.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking about him the other night.
Yeah. What were the Hollywood parties like back then?
I'm not a party guy.
You're not a party guy.
And you see, when I have to go to a party, I'll pull up. Normally they got valets parking. I always tip the valets up front. Leave my car here. I'll be right out. I walk in. I make the circle. I say hello to everybody.
Yeah.
I walk right out. Get in my car. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you just came to see people, say hi.
You know,
And that's
I've
it.
been to more events in Beverly Hills, the Black Tie Affair.
Yeah.
I had this lady that I used to go with, who was just a friend. But we got invited to every one of them, and everyone was the same. And,
Yeah.
you know, but you go and...
Yeah. So Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, were they just the two most likable guys, or were they pains in the asses? What were their
Well, you know,
personalities like?
the first time I met Frank, it's kind of funny. I met him down in the desert. Frank was a gambler.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big gambler. And he lost $500,000.
Wow.
And he owed the boys.
Yeah, $500,000's a lot of money.
But he couldn't tell his wife. And he said, wait a couple of days, I'll get the money. He said, I'll get it from Dean. Dean Martin gave him the money. Dean had a lot of money, man. He was a smart guy.
Yeah.
Dean. They were great guys.
Yeah.
I mean, and Frank Mateo's on Sunday night, you know, you could smoke at the bar in those days.
Yeah.
But you couldn't smoke in the dining room.
Yeah.
And I was always in the bar. I already had a table there.
Yeah.
And the friend come out, anybody, come on. And we sit at the bar, chit-chat.
Yeah.
I remember one night when we left and we were waiting for the valet to bring the cars. And Frank had $100 in his hand. He asked the valet, he said, what's the biggest tip you ever got? The valet says, $100, sir. So Frank goes in his pocket, takes out another 100, and gives him 200. And then Frank says, by the way, who gave you the $100? You did, sir.
Oh, man. It's nice to hear that he was a generous and a good
Ronald
guy.
Reagan and Nancy used to come in
Yeah.
every Sunday night. And, I mean, whoever was who in Hollywood used to be there when Matty Mateo
Yeah.
had a place on Westwood Boulevard.
That's awesome. Very cool. So you met a lot of really interesting people.
I met so many people. Sometimes I sit in my chair and go, how the hell did I do everything I've done in my life?
Yeah.
And I'm still doing things.
Yeah. Yeah. I was very impressed by your book. I mean, there's just so many little things that you were involved in and so many things that you did on a regular basis. When it came to working in Hollywood, did you ever produce any movies, or were you ever in the credits?
Never in the credit. Never got a credit.
Yeah. But you did help put on some of the movies, and did you help fund
get
them?
some things.
Yeah.
I help some smaller budgets. I get funded.
Yeah.
Me, just give me the money.
Yeah.
You take the credit. I made a deal with a guy a long time ago up there.
Yeah.
I give him all the credit,
Yeah.
but make sure I get the commission.
That's good. That's fun. So when it came to working in Hollywood and some of the individuals that you had relationships with, was there anybody specifically that ended up just screwing you over, or somebody that you had a really bad relationship with?
You mean people that I had to negotiate? No, I never had a problem like that.
Yeah. So
Were there people who screwed me over?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's still people who want to screw me over.
Yeah. From what I remember reading, it ended up being a lot of people that were closest to you and the people that you took care of the most.
Yeah, it's always going to be the person.
Yeah.
And then one thing about the mob,
Yeah.
the person you're going to back you is going to be the person closest to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's like that, you know. The worst thing probably is jealousy. People get jealous.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't have to be doing what I'm doing. And my son, the three closest people to me are my children.
Yeah.
And my son said the other day, he said, Pops, all of this stuff you're doing, you're so well known throughout the world, but you're not making any money with it.
Yeah.
He said, but because my son reads all the messages and things that people write me through social media.
Yeah.
He says, you're doing this because you're helping a lot of people today.
Yeah.
You know, people write me stuff, I mean, that, you know, from my talks and things that I teach them just on my social media, that's how it's changed their life, making them better.
Yeah.
And this is why I have decided to write a motivational book.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the most different motivational book that's ever been written.
Yeah.
All positive stuff. But there's things that people have to start changing in their lives before they could rethink and grow rich, okay, and become better. There's other things they got to be doing too.
Yeah.
You know,
What are a couple of those things?
loyalty, honor, respect.
Yeah. And I guess, you know, a lot of times throughout your life, you did make a lot of money, especially for the time that you were in. Why would you just make that money and then go spend it? Or why didn't you take that money and like invest it in properties, in more long-term investments? Because I just remember throughout the book, there were several times where you made a couple $100,000 or you would make a big check. And I just felt like those were opportunities for you to put that money away. Did you just have a habit of going and having a good time afterwards, or what would happen to that money?
Me and money love to have a good time.
Yeah, for a good
You
time.
know,
Not a long time.
I've always had, and you know, like I said, I've always had the ability to make money.
Yeah, and that's what I've seen
And,
many times.
You know, I did own a lot of real estate way, way back. You know, me and my cousin, we built a 54 tract of homes.
Yeah,
We owned a lot of rental property.
yeah,
You know, I think that's in my book. We were floating checks in those days.
yeah.
Can't do that today.
Yeah. I just, you know, I actually did have some questions specifically about the check floating. First of all, how did you come up with the idea for the check floating? Did you just know the timing between how long it took for the check to figure out that the check had bounced? And then, like, were you just hoping that they were never going to catch up to you? Because I don't understand how you didn't assume they were going to know it was you.
Yeah, well, here's, first of all, you're much younger, so you're not going to remember.
Yeah.
Okay? This was also the days you had no Experian, Equifax, all these credit rating crap.
There was none of that back then.
None of that there.
I didn't know that.
You were rated by the bank, by who you were in the neighborhood you grew up, okay, and
Got
things
it.
like that there.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing, you could have two banks, and we did. They'd be across the street from each other.
Okay.
All right? So we buy a home. I put the down payment down.
Okay.
It would take 2 weeks before it would clear with the bank across the street.
Okay.
It took 2 weeks to clear in those days.
Okay.
I mean, the system, you didn't have the technology.
Yeah, you didn't
that
have a computer.
got today,
Yeah.
you know? And by then, my cousin would write it. We had it down pat. Then my cousin would write me a check to cover the check that I wrote.
Okay.
So my check clears. Now they're holding my cousin's check, and we go like that until we closed on the house.
Okay.
Once we closed on the house at the Rome Savings Bank, right? All right, we went to the Oneida County Savings Bank, took a second mortgage, and stopped the float.
Okay.
And we did that time and time again.
Got it.
And then we had the bankers were our friends. When I began the Ori agency, I was broke again.
Yeah.
So on Monday morning, I would go in. Bob Egger was vice president of the bank.
Yeah.
I give him a check. He'd give me the cash. I go on the road, do my sale for my sales.
Mm-hmm.
I come back on a Friday, and I make the check good.
Got it. So that's okay. This was the part that I was missing. So at some point, you would get the cash to make all the accounts even.
Yeah.
Got it. But you were just basically figuring out ways to get money floated to you when it would have probably been more difficult to get that amount of money floated up front.
Right.
So you were actually, in a way, doing things legitimately because you would square out the accounts
We
at
always
some
square it out,
point.
yeah.
Okay, this makes me feel a lot better. I just like I didn't understand the whole scheme because I was like, how are you guys not getting caught so much sooner? And why didn't you go to jail so much longer just for those portions of what you were doing?
There was nothing illegal. That was not illegal in those
Got
days.
it. You were just working the system.
We were just working the system. All right.
That's awesome.
I mean, look, there's 5 of us in this room.
Yeah.
You know, back in those days, you can give me a check for $10,000.
Yeah.
All right, I give you the cash, and then she gives me a check, and
Yeah.
you know, it just goes around. You're floating that money around.
Got it. And then you would find a way to make a legitimate amount of money.
And then the legitimate money, you clear it.
And then it clears it back over. Awesome. That's really
And
cool.
then we go and we start again and buy another house.
Yeah, got it. And you would find a legitimate way
Yeah.
to take that money. How cool. Okay. And I understand because everything took time between the time that it took to verify it between the other banks and wherever the money had to travel.
You know, you're talking about a day when people wrote checks.
Yeah.
Okay? No, I got checkbooks. I got a company checkbook.
Yeah.
And I got a business checkbook. You know how many checks I write? I write my rent check.
Yeah.
And a couple of checks to charities.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny though. I actually write hundreds of checks like on a monthly basis for my business. I'm probably the only business left in the world that still
Really?
writes hundreds of checks because we pay out all the medical providers and we pay out all of our
Oh,
clients
yeah.
with checks.
Yeah.
But other than that, most people don't deal with checks. And it's funny because people get very angry with me. They're like, why can't you just direct deposit my money? I'm like, I can't. We have a process. We have to write checks. It takes a couple days to clear. This is how long it takes for it to go through that process. And I can only imagine what it was like back in the 60s, 70s, where things had to communicate between these branches. And if they were further away from each other, it would take even longer to verify things.
But listen to this. In today's world, you got Zelle,
Yep.
Apple Pay, Cash App,
Yep.
all Venmo. Let me tell you what happened to me over the 4th of July weekend. Somebody got in my bank account
Yeah.
and using Zelle, sending money.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning and I check my bank account.
Yeah.
I'm right on the phone like everybody. Oh, what the hell? I didn't do this. And they're pending.
Yeah.
And it's the 4th of July weekend. I can't call the bank.
Yeah.
They're closed.
Yeah.
Then I get a phone call
Yeah.
telling me they're Chase Bank.
Yeah.
I fall for it.
Yeah.
They're telling me my account's been compromised
Yep.
and I got to change my password and all this here. And they said, we'll help you do it.
Yep.
And it was like they transferred me to another thing, but I don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
I really thought it was Chase.
Yeah.
Now, when the banks finally do open, I call them up. I say, you got these pending charges. I didn't make them. Do not pay them.
Yeah.
They paid them.
Yeah.
$4,600.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I've been fighting since then to try to get my money back.
Yeah.
You know what they tell me? It came from my phone.
That's part of the scams that they run now. They called my mom the other day and they had like a voice recorder or something with like an AI technology that sounded like one of my siblings.
Oh, yeah, they do that.
And they tried to get personal information. And my mom, luckily, from talking to me, knew that it was a scam. But yeah, this is a very common thing. And for anybody listening, if you get a phone call from a number that you don't recognize and it sounds like one of your children, one of your family members, or somebody that you know, there is a high percentage chance that it is a fake AI tool where they got a recording of that person and they're literally trying to get personal information from you. So we live in a very scary age and you have to pay attention to these things. It's
Let me tell
terrifying.
you know who owns Zelle?
No, I don't.
Oh, let me tell you who owns Zelle. Chase, Bank of America, Citi, Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
They all got together and formed a company to compete with Cash App and PayPal.
Yeah.
And now all that money goes to them. I'm telling you, I didn't make these things. I'm arguing. I wrote the president in New York,
Yeah.
of Chase.
Yeah.
All right, they reinvested. They said, no, all came from your phone. I said, somebody cloned my phone.
Yeah.
They tell me it can't be done. Well, if you read the newspapers,
It
they
is
just
done.
arrested a guy for robbing mailboxes in Beverly Hills
Yeah.
and using phones, all right, different SIM cards to get into people's phones. All right, and they're telling me it can't be done, but it's done. $2.5 million that guy got.
100%. Yeah, it's
So
very
now
scary.
I'm writing the president again and say, get your facts straight.
Yeah, they even do email scams and all that kind of stuff too, where they like will reach out to a grandma where they say,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is your nephew or your grandson, and I need help. I need this money wired to this account." So it's a non-refundable, basically Western Union account, and so once the money is sent, it's sent, and they'll say like, "I need money. I have this emergency." So there's all kinds of really scary scams going on in the
You
world
know,
now.
look at I'm not that great at technology. I'm pretty dumb about it.
Yeah,
But can you imagine, okay, that if I were younger, I
Yeah.
would learn the technology, okay, how much I would have robbed that. I would have robbed the Pentagon of their money, okay?
yeah.
Because I go big when I go.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, speaking of gigs like that, I know towards the end of the book, you were talking about some jewelry heists that you guys were involved in and dealing with the safes. What was that experience like? Because I know that most times you guys had like cleaning ladies or customers or people walk in the middle of you guys trying to open
Oh,
these safes.
man.
What was your adrenaline like at that moment, and do you remember those experiences? Because I just remember being stressed out reading it. I'm like, it's supposed to take an hour or two and you guys are there well into the morning and then somebody shows up.
Well, my partner and I, we had a tipster,
Yeah,
okay?
and that guy screwed
And
you over.
no, he didn't screw us over. He was in the jewelry business,
Okay.
and he would point
Okay.
to other guys, to his friends who were in jewelry business, and he would point and say, "He's carrying 250,000." Now, when he gave us a number, that's how much we would sell it for when we sell it.
Okay.
Okay, and me and my partner would go out and get it, and one of the jobs, this is funny, was at home.
Yeah.
The guy's name was Tony in Jupiter, Florida. And I was the guy, the presentable guy. I was dressed like a FedEx guy, had a box. I had my 38 in there. All right. Knock, knock. And Ralphie be in the bushes over here. FedEx, oh, just leave it. Sir, you got to sign for it. He signed. He opened the door, and then I put the gun through, turn around, go and bring him in, put him down on the floor. We wrap him up with the ties. First place you got to check when you're robbing diamond people, big people in jewelry, check their freezers because they normally put it there. And we checked there, and this guy was ready to go to work. So he had his diamonds, the watches, the jewelry, everything was nice, and his jewelry was ready to go. So that was good. Now I take him upstairs, I put him on his bedroom floor, and I'm going through all his wife's stuff. And she's got diamond earrings stuck to her pantyhose, and I'm pulling them out. I go, Tony, your wife's a slob. What the hell's going on? I said, why doesn't she have a jewelry box like everybody else? So I'm trolling this, and he said, oh, please, I got to go to a funeral tomorrow. Can you leave me $100? I said, we'll leave you 100. Don't worry about it. And my partner's checking the other rooms in the house, and so we get it all, we get done, and the guy had a heart problem. So I had to get his medicine. He said, please, give me one of my pills. And there he is, he's tied up on the floor, and I give him his pill. And then I sat on him, and when we're leaving, I said, we know where you live. I says, we didn't rob you. Okay, you got to say such and such, and better lie, otherwise we're coming back. And we left there at 11 a.m. Now we knew his wife worked for Saks Fifth Avenue.
Uh-huh.
So now, as soon as we got out of the area, we stopped at a payphone at a gas station, and I called 6th Fifth Avenue. Because we don't want to leave this guy on the floor all day long,
Yeah.
And I said, Mrs. So-and-so. Well, she's working on the floor. I said, can you transfer? They don't have phones on the floor, sir. I said, can you get her a message? I said, it's very important. Yes, sir. I said, can you tell her that her husband's just been robbed and he's tied up on the bedroom floor and she should get home right away? Oh, yes, sir. May I ask who's calling? I said, yeah, the robbers. Okay? And I hang up. She don't get the message. She gets home 5:30 that afternoon, and she gets up to her bedroom. There's her husband. She passes out. And then when she got up, funny. She untied him, and he said, "Don't call the police." She calls the police. The police didn't believe him. Story. It was hilarious. Then the next day, he's got to talk to the tipster.
Yeah.
And he said, you got to meet me. You're next. And they're in a coffee shop in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah.
And here he is. He's sitting. He's got his shoes on but no socks. And a girl walks in who knows him. And he's got black and blue around here and black and blue around here. And the girl looks at him and says, Tony, I didn't know you were in that kind of sex. This poor guy got robbed of over $200,000 worth of stuff, and he's got to get all that abuse, poor guy.
So does this guy get basically the money back through insurance?
Huh?
Did Tony get the money back through insurance?
Oh, I'm sure they all do.
Got it. Okay, so
and
it's
one star in Palm Beach.
Yeah. Let me ask you one quick question before you start the story. So, do you know that this person has insurance typically before you go to take their money?
They do.
Got it. Okay. So got it. So that makes me
one
feel
time
better
when
too.
we got a tipster from a guy about a jewelry store on Los Olas Boulevard.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a large thing.
Yeah.
And me and my partner get there.
Yeah.
And I see a guy, hey, there's so-and-so and so-and-so on the roof of the place. And there's so-and-so. This son of a gun gave the tip to all the freaking thieves. Okay?
So you could see the other guys that you knew from the industry.
Yeah. Anyways, we're the ones to get in.
Yeah.
And about when we got out, it was only like 65 grand.
Yeah.
Okay? We were upset.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to drive all the way from, West Palm Beach to Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
That evening on the news, and she was a beautiful girl too, but she's on the news and she's crying. Yeah, they got over $500,000 worth of stuff. We got 65,000, lady. And she's getting $500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did good with that robbery.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What an interesting story, man.
Yeah,
Well,
I had to leave because there was a Cuban guy that looked similar to me.
Yeah.
And he was a jewelry thief.
Yeah.
And every time there's a robbery, they're showing his picture on the news.
Got it. So
and
people are like,
I'm starting to get nervous. When I told my son, I said, I'm getting the hell out of here tomorrow. I packed my car and drove back to California.
Yeah. So out of all the different jobs and things that you've done, what would be the most amount of money you made, like in your top two jobs? Like how much did you make in one day before, whenever you were doing things like this?
Well, it's got to be the marijuana distribution.
The marijuana distribution?
Yeah, in New York. I had a big thing. The cartels came back looking for me and wanted to kill me.
Wow.
Yeah. It was about 300,000.
300,000? Yeah, but you didn't mean to screw over the cartels. It just ended up happening.
No,
right?
they screwed themselves.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think you did that wrong. Yeah.
What happened is the border in Texas. Two trucks came, but one truck, the truck that was supposed to go to Chicago, went to New York. And they were two different grades of weed. And the buyer in New York is the guy who gets the higher quality weed.
Yeah.
And when they got there, he got the lower quality. And he had it in a warehouse, and he wouldn't release it. He wouldn't give anybody a sample. He wouldn't cut the bags open.
Yeah.
Anybody takes it, they got to take it all out. So we got the tip. I got a couple guys. I had them go pick it up. It was in the Bronx. And I remember it was in the truck. We had to wash the truck all night. Then we found a place with a rapper's ex-wife's home in a very nice area. We got it to her garage. We cut it open. It's a shit weed. And I was still able to sell it, but not at the prices. And they wanted X number of dollars per pound. And I told them, I'm only giving you X numbers.
Yeah.
Okay? And I only gave them X number.
Yeah.
And it became a big hassle. And I was on the phone with the cartel boss, one of the bosses of the cartels, because they were going to kill their drivers.
Yeah.
Their drivers were in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I'm giving them hell. I said, you asshole, I'm talking to the boss.
Yeah.
And I'm giving him hell. I said, you fucker with your drivers, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I was a crazy fucker.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I made a lot of big scores.
Yeah.
And, I lost a lot of money on some things, too. You got to remember something.
Of course.
Okay? Being a thief, you got to invest money. It's just like opening any business. You open a business, you got to invest money in it. I mean, look, I had an investment in the cable boxes. That would have been a nice score, $2 million.
Yeah.
In the L.A. City jail.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things I like.
Yeah.
I invested over 40 grand.
Yeah.
I didn't get that back.
No, there was a lot of different things that you did where you ended up getting screwed over by the people closest to you. Yeah, and I guess
nobody screwed me over. It was freaking guy, it's all in the book. Read the book, The Accidental Gangster.
Yeah. When you wrote that book, what was that process like? Can you take us through what it was like to write the book? Did you handwrite it? Did you talk it to someone, or like how did you decide what would go in the book?
I never dreamed I would write a book.
Yeah.
I'm an avid reader. Been reading all my life. I read every day. Just finished a book last night. I begin a new one tonight.
Yeah.
In prison, I read over 300 books. And I happen to be represented by one of the best influential entertainment law firms in Hollywood. You got to figure, why am I represented by a firm like this?
Yeah.
When they got J-Lo and all the big names,
Yeah.
Well, there's always a reason for something, unless you think about that one. And I'm having dinner at the Four Seasons with George Haim, the lawyer, and then people come in and want me to do a reality show, do this. People coming to me, and I know 90% of the people in Hollywood are bullshit. And George says, Ori, I know your story. Write a book, we'll get a movie made.
Yeah.
I said, George, I never wrote a book. Find a co-writer. All the writers I know in Hollywood are script writers.
Yeah.
So I just sit down. One day I says, I was on 4 years supervised, very strict supervised release. I mean, if I went to a restaurant and there was another fellow in there, they could revoke my. So, freak out, we're just staying home. I said, how hard? A beginning, a middle, and an end. And I thought about it. When people read it, I want my voice to come off the pages.
Yeah.
It's got to be truthful. And it's my story. It's not somebody else's story.
Yeah.
And I just sat down and I banged it out and I did it. And I've had 2 updates of the book. And I sold an awful lot of books.
Yeah. How many copies have you sold?
Over 12,000.
Over 12,000.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of advertising or just mostly word of mouth?
Social media.
Social media.
My son taught me how to post.
Yeah.
I don't do the hashtags, all that.
Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah.
Okay, but I post. If you watch me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, and Twitter, I'm on those 5.
Yeah. Do you want to share your social media handle so people know where to find you?
Yes. My what?
Social media handle. What is your your Instagram name?
It's either Accidental Gangster, they'll find me, or Ori Spado.
Ori
I
Spado.
can't remember which one is which.
We'll post both of them in the
Huh?
link. We'll post all of them in the link so that everybody
Yeah,
has
you
access.
have to search for them.
Yeah.
You know, my son gets to set me. I got to ask him what's my. You know, I mean, I call him a million times a day.
Yeah.
How do I do this? Dad, I told you a
Yeah.
million times. I should make it 1,000,001.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really seriously. I got a block in my head about learning technology,
Mm.
and you know, it's just the way it is. But yeah, I'm across social media, and I've done over 150 interviews.
Mm.
I never asked one person to interview me.
Yeah.
And I've been on big ones, small ones, little ones. And Mo Rock, one time he counted up, he said, you got over 4 million. And that was a few years ago. Now it's over 7 million views I got.
Yeah.
And I wish I had 10 cents for each one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, it's been an awesome journey. It's something in my life that I never thought. You know, people ask me, did I enjoy being a gangster? Yes, I did. Okay? You know, and there's a saying in the life, what happens in the shadows stays in the shadows.
Yeah.
And I believe in that. And I still don't talk about things because I was not an informant.
Yeah.
So, you know, informers can go out there and talk about who they killed and this and that because
Yeah.
they got a pass.
Yeah.
And it's my story. I take full responsibility for the good, the bad, and the ugly I've done in my life.
Yeah.
But I have no regrets because to me a regret is a negativity.
Yeah.
And my life was my destiny. It was laid out for me. And that's why I'm here today, my friend.
Yeah. It's been a wild journey. I have a lot of respect for it. So I know a big part of your journey was spending time with Sonny Franchesse. Is that the correct way to pronounce it?
Sonny, oh my God, Sonny. You know, Sonny is he's a legend.
Yeah.
He's a true legend. He died at the age of 103.
103.
And I happen to be the one that people give me credit for announcing his death. And it's really funny because I called the nursing home. Sonny and I were talking 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
And I called, and the nurse got on the phone, and she says they had to rush him to the hospital.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, he sounded great yesterday.
Yeah.
So I called another friend of ours. Said, you got to get to the hospital, Sonny. They brought Sonny there. And Sonny was, when he passed away, the guy called me. It was like 4 a.m. in the morning. So I posted on Instagram a picture of me and a picture of Sonny that my friend passed away at the age of 103. vladtv picks it up. He puts it on Vlad. He's got over 5 million subscribers.
Yeah.
And then some newspaper things picked it up. Ori Spado announces of that.
Yeah.
Friend. And then I'm sitting there about at 6 a.m. When you call my home number, it comes up on my TV screen, you know?
Yeah.
I'm looking, Universal calling me at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Pick up, it's TMZ.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sonny, but I got to tell you something. Jimmy Conchi out here, the underboss of Los Angeles,
Yeah.
the boss of Palm Springs.
Yeah.
He was the son. He, ounce for ounce, Jimmy he did as much time probably as Sonny Franchesse did. And I miss Jimmy. Look, all my friends are dead.
Yeah.
I'm an older guy. Everybody I know is dead. And if somebody doesn't call me and they're my friends, they're dead to me.
Yeah. But what do you think made these guys such legends, right? Like, what were the character traits that allowed them to have so much more respect? And why were they followed so much more than other people, let's say, that were gangsters?
Sonny Franchesse began at a very early age. Family came from Naples, Italy. He got into life, he got groomed.
At a young age, his family groomed him to be part of the gangster life.
Yeah.
So were his like grandparents?
Well, he was under some good guys. Look, Sonny did a lot of work. You know what I mean when I say did a lot of work?
No, I don't.
When I say doing work, that's going out.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Sonny did an awful lot of work.
Gotcha.
And Sonny was very well respected.
Hmm.
And even though, Sonny would say, "You're with me," he found the RICO. "You're with me, fuck Jimmy Cacci in California." And Jimmy Cacci ought to say, "You're with me, you live in California, fuck Sonny Franchesse." I mean, I'm saying to these guys, look, I just want to be me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, but when I was in San Francisco, I was moving and shaking up there.
Yeah.
And we had a place on Union Street, O. Henry's.
Yeah.
And when I would move, the whole restaurant would move. Wherever I went, they went.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of guys with me. And I remember one Saturday night I walked in there. And my guys are nervous as hell. They said, "The old Ginzos from North Beach, they want to talk to you." I said, "So what?" "Oh, they want to know what you're doing." "You want us to go with you?" I said, "I'm going. I'll go by myself," I said. So I got to go to this restaurant, North Beach, which North Beach is the Italian section of San Francisco.
Mm.
As soon as I get to the door, there's the guy at the door, brings me, they got 3 guys, they got a table set up in the kitchen. A lot of meetings happen inside the kitchen of Italian restaurants that we have throughout the country.
Mm.
At least for me, it's been that way. And sit down, these guys are questioning me. "We know you were here, but we never bought you. But now, you're putting these trucks on the road with roving gambling and, I don't know what you're talking about." And then they're getting goddamn serious, And they keep asking who you with.
Mm.
So it got very serious. So I finally had to say, "I'm with Sonny Franchesse."
Mm.
And I'm going to swear to God, it was like the sun came through, okay?
Yeah.
And they had the most respect for Sonny.
Yeah.
They said, "Whatever you want to do in this town,
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
With permission."
Yeah.
And those were probably the last guys. I don't think there's anybody left in San Francisco anymore.
Yeah.
But, San Francisco was a great city.
Yeah. So I'm interested just in the sense of when it came to the mafia and when it came to the gangsters, would they provide protection to certain areas and then everybody would have to give them almost like a tithe where if they gave them money, they would then be protected by the mafia? Or
Well, look, you got to understand how it began
yeah.
back in Sicily,
Yeah.
okay, in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Sicily being one of the most invaded countries in the world.
Yeah. I just went to Sicily last year.
Hmm?
I spent some time there last year.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's very interesting compared to the mainland in Italy. It's almost as if the mainland of Italy wanted to punish Sicily because they were so successful, and then they ended up turning them into a rundown part of the country compared to the mainland itself. Yeah.
Well, they were invaded by French soldiers. On Sundays, the Italian woman would be in the park with her children wheeling the baby carriages. And the French soldiers started raping the woman. And the men had to get together and do something to protect our own.
Yeah.
And they did. And it just went through Italy.
Yeah.
And it went through all over. And so basically it began to protect our own.
Okay.
All right. Over in the old country, in this country, and you had a store, you got a business, okay, you're with me. All right, you pay me a little tribute once a week. You got any problems at all, you come to me. No other family's going to bother you.
Got it.
Another family comes, you come to me, I handle it.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, that's protection money. And honest to God, the neighborhoods were much safer back then. Take John Gotti's neighborhood where he lives. Where he did live. It was the safest freaking neighborhood in New York.
Yeah.
And now today is crime riddled, drug ridden. We took care of our neighborhoods. We're not bad guys. We got good hearts.
Yeah.
We make a score. You ask me about the money. We
Yeah.
make a score, and we got this widow, okay, or this girl down here. She got 3 children. She can't pay the rent. She got they can't put food on the table. We go over there, hey, give her $5,000. All right,
You take care of your own.
take care. You don't owe us nothing. We never ask for it back. Never go back. Ask for it. Never.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've given thousands of dollars out to people? I mean, we got big hearts. We're good people.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you cross us, something could happen.
Yeah.
All right, but we're going to let you know first.
Yeah.
We try to resolve the problems,
Yeah.
but we take care of our own.
Yeah. So basically, it developed as a way for you guys to protect your own
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And it was a way to keep everyone safe. And it was basically a way to keep order when almost the government didn't come in and provide that order that you guys needed.
No, the government didn't come in, and the government's not doing it today.
Yeah.
What do? We got a bunch of morons, imbeciles, in the U.S. House of Representatives. I don't care what side, Republican, Democrat, liberal, it don't make a difference. These people are not doing anything for the people. They have no intention of doing anything for the people. You think they're there for that $170,000 a year they make? That we pay them? That's peanuts compared to what they make. Nothing happens in the entire world without money flowing. And when money flows, there's always somebody there taking piece here, piece there. We got a war going on now in Israel.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't hear anything about Ukraine now on television. It's all Israel. But we still got one going to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're saying is these people are in these positions to essentially establish relationships that can monetarily benefit them in other ways.
Who's making the money over here in this war?
I'm not sure.
The wealthy.
Yeah.
Because they make all the equipment that you need more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from what I've researched is we want to perpetually be in war because that's how the most wealthy make the most of their money.
That's right.
It's through the war machine. And so when we have times of peace, they actually lose billions and billions of dollars. So to perpetuate war means for the wealthy to stay wealthy and for them to keep making money.
Let's go back to Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah.
Who was financing him? The Rothschild family.
Yeah.
Who's the Rothschild family today?
They're still financing this war.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. War is good for them.
So, one of the letters in the back of my book is to the U.S. House of Representatives.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people also don't understand that, like you pointed out, I don't believe our government is ran by the officials. It's mostly ran by the Federal Reserve and the bank because they control everything. And one of the families that owns the Federal
Pharma.
Reserve, Pharma is a
Pharma.
big part of it too. Yeah.
Pharma. I got involved in this situation. Pharma.
Yeah.
They got more money than anybody.
Yeah.
Pharma, insurance companies, banks, that's it.
Yeah.
They are the ones who control and run. They tell the politicians what they want, even the president.
Do you think that the Mafia or any of these groups had any influence on these bigger organizations?
We did years ago.
Yeah.
Nah, look at Giuliani, he began, Richard Nixon signed the RICO Act in 1971, 72. I studied it very closely. And what the RICO Act did was it gave permission to the Department of Justice and U.S. attorneys and the FBI to lie and get away with it. It really was not used until, and you got to blame Joe Bonanno for it. He wrote a book, I forget the name of it. He wrote a book Rudy Giuliani read that book. And Joe Bonanno had the blueprint. You gotta remember, Joe Bonanno lived in Tucson, Arizona. Here's where he died. But he was from New York.
Why is that important?
Well, it's important because he was told, you stay in New York, you die, but we'll let you go. And he moved to Tucson. He had a lot of money. And, but he left a blueprint. And all Rudy had to do was fill in the gaps of how La Cosa Nostra worked from where Joe Bonanno left off on the book. And, you could check out what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's out there. Rudy even said it himself. And he started using the RICO Act, which is illegal and unconstitutional. But they can't change it. They won't change it.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden, he wrote the worst crime bill in history. So it don't make a difference what party it is.
Yeah.
All right? Joe Biden, years ago, you got a 10-year bid. It was nothing. You go to prison, you go 3-4 years, you're out. So what? Do that stand on your head? Not today. Not since Joe Biden. Now you got to do 85%. And what did Joe Biden do? He put in minimum mandatory sentencing guidelines.
Yeah.
And there was billions of dollars to get the paid states. I call it the bribed states.
Yeah.
To increase their sentencing guidelines to 85%. So, of course, the states are going to take billions of dollars to increase it.
Yeah.
Now, there's no help in prisons for the reformer gangster.
No.
The gangster you see that are reformed, they did it on their own.
Yeah.
Me. I'm going to be interviewing Freeway Ricky Ross next week. You know who he is?
I do not.
Okay, Freeway Ricky Ross was, he didn't count his money, he weighed his money. They did a TV show, what was it called? All right, he's the guy that discovered crack cocaine and was involved with the CIA and Costra years ago. He got life in prison. Ricky couldn't read or write. He learned how to read and write in prison.
Yeah.
After 20-something years, he got out.
Yeah.
He wrote his own appeals. When he learned to read and write, he studied law. And now he's out. He's got several books, and he's doing very well. Like myself, helping keep young men and boys out of jail, and changing their lives, become entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And there's other people like us, very few, but they're out there. There's people who do get rehab. I did 5 years on a 924C gun charge.
Yeah.
3 years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court found it illegal and unconstitutional and should be taken off everybody's records. I was talking to one of my co-defendants. He was still in prison.
Yeah.
He said, right there, Judge, get it off their record.
Yeah.
So I wrote my judge in Brooklyn. Good guy, Judge Kogan.
Yeah.
Wrote him a letter. I like it off my record. I don't hear nothing. A month later, I get my mail downstairs. There's a FedEx from the U.S. Attorney's Office, Elizabeth Geddes. Same U.S. Attorney. Open it up. First page, it said, Mr. Spado's charge 924C should be dismissed. I'm happy as shit. I get on my elevator, go up to my apartment. It was 5 pages.
Yeah.
I get to the 4th page. It says, in the event that Mr. Spado 924C is discharged, we hereby bring back charges 1 and 13 of the indictment. I said, what the hell? Statute of limitation ran out 3 times on it. How could they do this?
Yeah.
Those were the dismissed charges, the RICO and the cocaine conspiracy.
Yeah.
All right? So I wrote the judge, say I wrote that without the advice of an attorney. He gets me an attorney in New York.
Yeah.
An attorney calls me up. Don't worry, we'll take care of it. You got to be in court in February. I said, I'm not coming to court. I'm not going to that court in Brooklyn, I said, listen to me. You don't know me, I don't know you. But I'm not going in that court. I know how it works. I walk in the front door, the cops are going to go on, they're going to bring me downstairs and put me in for something.
Yeah.
I said, and plus, I said, it's February and it's too cold for me. I'm not going through another winter in New York.
Yeah.
And went back and forth, and I said, look, I just want to forget about it. Let it stay the way it is. Let it stay on my record. What's the difference?
Yeah.
I was a felon before this. Once a felon, you're a felon until you die. Okay? So nothing's going to change that. Even a pardon. A pardon does not change the fact that you're a felon.
Yeah.
And God bless you.
Thank you.
And so I still got the charge.
Yeah. Yeah, but at this point, it doesn't really matter, right?
It really doesn't.
No.
You know what? I might just do it again just to break their balls.
Yeah. I mean, if you also need a connection to a criminal defense attorney who could maybe try to handle it for you, I can connect you to somebody for that. But the truth of the matter is the only people that are really looking up those records are going to be people that work for a government agency or that really need to know that information. Yeah. And even if you do wipe it off your record, what a lot of people don't realize is that when you get your record expunged, it's still going to show the indictment. It's still going to show what you got charged for. So even though you get it wiped on your official record, it's still going to show that it was there, and it's going to also show what you went to jail for.
Right.
So at the end of the day, this is a big misconception that people are like, oh, it's expunged. No one's going to see it. No one's going to have no idea what I got in trouble for. It's actually bullshit. They're gonna know.
I make no crimes. I'll show people what I did.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing to hide, and I'm just, I guess, sharing this for the general public that once you get arrested for it, and once it goes into the court system, most of that stuff is pretty public knowledge. And even though you might have not gotten convicted for it, they're gonna see what you were charged with, and many times the things you're charged with are significantly worse than what you're actually convicted with. Right. So they're going to see the story, and it's out there. So best piece of advice is don't get in trouble in the first place. That's really where you should be starting out. The aftermath.
Look at they want to,
Yeah.
If it's they'll probably make it illegal for me helping people become better.
Yeah.
If Congress could make a law on that. They would.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess after your journey has been done, do you think that you would go back and give younger Ori any advice? Would you tell him to go down the same routes, or would you tell him to make different choices?
Do you have any idea how many young men, and there are a couple of girls, that I have kept out of going down that road?
No, that's why I'm asking that question.
Several.
Yeah.
In my book, I say if I could help one young man stay out of a life of crime, then my book is well worth it.
Yeah.
I have helped several. And if you check my social media, they write me.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm very proud of the number of people. And I don't only teach them how to stay out of the life of a crime.
Yeah.
Okay? I teach them how to be an entrepreneur, how to find something that they love doing.
Yeah.
Because you be successful, you got to love what you're doing. You got to have a burning desire for it.
Yeah.
And I teach them. And I give them all the book, Think and Grow Rich. I've given over 100 of those books out in my lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that book. And like I was telling you in the beginning, I led a book club with that book. If you really want to get your head wrapped around the mentality that you need to be successful and the burning desire that you need within your soul to really achieve your goal, it's a great starting place for you to get your mindset right. And so I highly recommend reading the book. We can comment about the actual author himself and whether he was the best individual around, but what he wrote about, I do believe in, and I think that he did have the right idea.
What he wrote about is help millions of people.
Yeah.
And, I worked for W. Clement Stone.
Yeah.
And who wrote several books.
Yeah.
And, I believe in it. I got 3 children. All my 3 children could recite a lot of things out of that book.
Yeah. Yeah, Think and Grow Rich and the book The Secret have a lot of similarities with each other. And I mean, I think as, you've read 300 books, you said, while you were in prison. And I've read, I haven't read, I don't think that many books, but as you read more and more books, you start to realize that a lot of the best books, and especially ones that speak about similar topics, they're saying almost the same thing in a slightly different way.
Right.
And so it's almost like you're just layering levels of evidence that help to correlate the same conclusion. It's just that they took a different road to get to the same place. But a lot of times the journey was very similar, even though it might have been from a different
Absolutely.
perspective. And so, yeah, either one of those books would give you a lot of perspective, and a lot of the time it's being crystal clear about what your desires are, and then having a true and good intention as to why you want it, and then the universe will help to bring that to you. I guess since you've read so many books, is there another book that you'd highly recommend for someone to read that would help them to get their mindset in the right place?
The Success System That Never Fails by W. Clement Stone.
W. Clement Stone, The Success System That Never Fails
Yeah.
by Clement Stone. Okay, I'll have to look that one up.
You know, the first time I wrote Think and Grow Rich,
Yeah.
I went broke. It was the first time I went broke. And,
You said you went broke?
yeah, I went broke. I
Yeah.
went broke several times in my life.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like nothing for me.
Yeah.
I'll come right back.
Yeah, you come right back.
And I needed to make money to put food on the table for my wife and kids.
Yeah.
And I run into this kid in a diner. And, you know, I didn't have time to go out and write an insurance policy because it took 30 days for underwriting to approve it. It would take another 30 days before I got my commission. So, you know, I worked on a commission basis.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't go that long. And he's telling me how I could make $100 a day. All right, selling this insurance policy for a combined life insurance company.
Yeah.
Introduced me to the manager. He hired me, and they sent me to Boston. They hired another kid from Rome, another Italian boy too, and sent us to Boston for training. I think it was 2 weeks of training.
Okay.
And the first book that we got to read is Think and Grow Rich. And when I read that book, I said, holy shit, this guy has put names to things that I have already done.
Yeah.
Because I was already a member of the $1 Million Round Table and life insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy that's how I viewed it the first time.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it was 2 weeks of school.
Yeah.
And then out in the field, and you worked a different town every week.
Yeah.
And first town I ever worked was a little town called Poland, New York. I sold 50 policies that whole week.
Yeah.
And a few weeks, and then I started doing okay, but it really not making the kind of money I wanted. We were working Herkimer, New York.
Okay.
And we would meet at a diner every morning with a manager before you go out.
Okay.
Okay, because he would tell you, you got this street, you got that street.
Yeah.
And I went and I said, hey, Jerry, I said, this is not for me. I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Jerry said, yeah, or I figured you would. He says, this is just little small bullshit. You're used to going out and sell those big insurance policies, big group policies, and talk to these executives. He said, this is too much above you. Yeah, I said, you're right, Jerry. He said, but Ori, you're not a loser. Why don't you leave as a winner? He said, do it just today. He says, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to give you Furnace Street. He takes his card out. He says, knock. When you knock on the door, put this. Every time you got 4, then put a cross. You talk to somebody, the same thing. You make a presentation to somebody. He said, try it and see how you do today. I went out. I sold 100 policies.
In one day?
Oh, yeah. I didn't quit till 10 o'clock at night. Okay. Sold 100 policies. I was elated, man. You know, and
Yeah.
that money was in my pocket, the money I made that day.
Yeah.
So the next day morning, he gives me the business side. Now, the business district, when you got the business district, you got to go in to the shoe store, talk to the owner, then talk to all the employees, you know. And so by the time 5 o'clock comes, when they're all closing, I sold 50 policies.
Yeah.
Now, you're not allowed to work another person's territory unless you get permission from them.
Yeah.
So now I want to sell 100 policies Because when you sell, no, I didn't sell. I sold 50 policies the day before. Now here it is, 5 o'clock. I got 50. I want another 50. And I see this guy coming around the corner. Joe, his name was, just like you. And I waved him. I said, "Come on, have a cup of coffee." I said, "What street you work?" He said, "I work this street." He said, "It's horrible." I said, "What'd you sell?" He said, "I didn't sell a thing all day." I said, "You mind if I rework the street?" He said, "What are you, crazy?" He says, "I talk to everybody there." I said, "I got nothing to do. I don't want to go home." He said, "Go ahead." I went. Now I'm selling. People he talked to, I'm selling.
Yeah.
And now it's late at night. I'm looking for lights on.
Yeah.
And then I knock on the doors. And I never forget this one. I knock on this door. And the guy was sitting down watching TV. He comes to the door. He's laughing. He said, "Are you crazy knocking on my door at this hour? It's 11 o'clock at night." I said, "No, you don't seem to understand something." He said, "Look, he was like a state assemblyman."
Yeah.
He said, "I got all the insurance benefits I need."
Yeah.
I said, "No, you don't seem to understand something." I said, "You got to let me make a presentation. You're going to buy my policy, and then you're going to allow me to use your phone. I'm going to call Chicago because when you sell 100 policies, they ring the cowbell. It's a big thing, okay?" And he's just laughing his ass off. I said, "Come on in." I saw him. I said, "Let's add one for your wife, too." And so I had one for his wife. I called Chicago. I mean, I sold 100 policies. The following week, it was awesome. And then the following week was W. Clement Stone Week, and we worked Cooperstown, New York. We broke the record of the previous year, sold more than anybody else in the country.
Yeah.
And there was a big award dinner at the New York Hilton in New York.
Yeah.
And I went up on stage and met with W. Clement Stone. He gave me a big gold thing that I won. I walked off stage. We had our wives there and everybody. Jerry Dente's there. And I looked at Jerry Dente was the manager. Shook his hand. I said, "Jerry, now I'm leaving." He said, "Get out of here." He said. And that's when I left, and then I started my agency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a beautiful story. What a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. So I guess we're coming up on about 2 hours here, and we have a couple minutes left. I wanted to ask you, are there any last pieces of advice or just pieces of wisdom that you'd like to impart with people? Because you've been on a journey probably greater than most, and you've seen more than probably 99.9% of the people. What are some last pieces of advice you'd like to share with individuals so that they can, hopefully make some wise decisions in their journey?
Well, first of all, I'd like to talk to all the youth of the country.
Yeah.
And to their parents.
Yeah.
Folks, I don't blame the children when they do bad things. I blame the parents. I make myself available to people. I've helped a lot of young men. We live in a country today that's divided. A lot of people are unhappy. You got to start thinking positive. Going out and stealing things, robbing things, and hurting other people is not the way to go in life. And I taught a lot of young men to stay out of the life of crime. I teach them how to become better people. But let's start this over again. What was the question?
The question again.
'Cause I rambled over there.
No, you're fine. We can start over again. So just make a note. We'll re-record that in. So my question for you again is, you've had an amazing life. You've experienced more than 99.9% of people, I think, that have ever had an opportunity to live. And through that journey, what is some advice that you'd like to give individuals so that they can live a life well lived?
Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. You got to be happy. I wake up in the morning, I make my bed, I say a prayers, and I put myself in a positive mood. Even sometimes, I get negative sometimes like anybody else, but you'll never know it because I try to stay happy. And one thing that I do every day, I try to make other people's lives happy.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, if you do that every day, and sometimes it's only a simple hello. Just say a simple hello to people. You know, when I take my walk, I say hello, good morning, how are you? Have a great day to everybody. You know, they look up at me and they got a big smile on their face.
Yeah.
Because people are not even doing that today. So, folks, I guarantee you, you start doing that, and putting smiles on other people's faces to come back to you 1,000-fold.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I agree with you entirely. And, you know, when you said do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, I think a lot of people might ask, well, what's the right thing to do? And what I'll tell you is just follow your intuition. You will always know what is the right thing to do. It's not really a question. It's just kind of a knowing that you're going to feel within your heart. And I agree with you entirely, too. It's no matter how hard your day might be, it's you're in control of your emotions. You make the choice to be happy or not. And you can either impede that on other people, or you can be sad yourself, or you can choose to be positive and to influence others in a positive way. So I agree with you, and I think that's amazing advice, because every moment is a choice. And you can choose to be happy or you can choose to be miserable. No one else can do it for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's good and there's bad
Yeah.
in everyone. Stick with the good.
Yeah. I think on that note, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. So once again, we had Ori Spado today. If you would like to hear his story, I've heard his story, and it's an amazing story. He has a book called The Accidental Gangster, and you can get it on audiobook or you can get it on Amazon. You can buy a physical book. Either way, I would say after I've listened to the book that it is a good listen, but if you want to actually have the letters that are there, that are at the end of the book, and to be able to see some of the details and to really be able to read some of the names, maybe buying a physical book is the way to go.
And autographed books are available on my website.
Awesome. And that's theaccidentalgangster.com. Right. Fantastic. And we'll make sure that in the credits that there is the ways that you can reach out to Ori if you would potentially like to maybe interview him, or if you would like to get a copy of the book. We'll have all those links on there. We really appreciate everybody tuning in today. I hope that the insights from Mr. Spado's life were able to shed some light in your life. And please always remember to be loyal, have honor, and be respectful. And these are good things to live by. So God bless, and we're signing out.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Cool.